Because I have an uncomfortable conversation that I would like to have. You could sit back and let me have it, but it was regarding Christian McCaffrey and I think the perceived stigma around him.
Because he's a white running back?
It's absolutely what it is.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, let's just call it what it is. Like, there are certain positions we don't think white guys can play.
Well, I compared him to, I said, Christian McCaffrey's Marshall Faulk 2.0, and people were like, oh, it's like, no, forget the skin color.
Yes.
The guy's a baller.
Would you agree with me? Because he's a white dude, we just looked at him very different.
We don't see a lot of white running backs. Who's the last white running back we saw other than Peyton Hillis? Danny Woodhead, Rex Burkhead.
Yes.
Craig James.
Toby Gerhart.
Toby Gerhart didn't work out.
No, but I think
touchdown Mike Allstott, but he was a fullback. Touchdown Tommy Vardell.
Well, that's the thing. I think we think you're a big lumbering fullback playing the running back position, or you're a tiny little scat back. You cannot be the alpha. Because if you look at it right now, he's a top 3 player. He's a top 3 player at the position. Whether he's 1, 2, or 3, take your pick. But I do think that there's a huge stigma around the country because he's a white guy playing running back.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. We do this.
But I don't know. Is that the stigma for him?
I don't think we think he could be a complete back.
See, I thought people saw him get hurt in Carolina, like David said. It's, he's injury prone. He's injury prone. He's injury prone.
Okay.
They ran him into the ground. We played the highlights when he got drafted. And I remember all those games.
Yeah.
I went to a lot of Stanford games, working at the other stations, setting up their tents and stuff. So I watched a lot of Christian McCaffrey in college. I was like, this guy can go.
Yeah, but why
this guy can go.
But Bonte, the Niners didn't even think about picking him in that draft.
They didn't. They should have. But then again, running backs, that's the value position, right? No, you can't take running backs high, blah, blah, blah,
That's
blah, blah.
true.
Well, when Kansas City traded up, I thought, are they going to get Christian McCaffrey? Is Andy Reid going to get his next Brian Westbrook? That's what I was thinking. I remember working, with football during that shows. Oh, my God. Are they going to get Christian McCaffrey, Andy Reid, or whatnot? So maybe that is a stigma.
Well, because
I never had that, though. I never had that one. As a black guy, I never looked at Christian McCaffrey. It's like, he's a white running back. It's not going to pan out. The guy was a baller at Stafford.
That's interesting.
The guy was lighting up everybody.
Well, then maybe it's my own, blindness. I feel like there's a bias against, all right, you're a good player, but you're not that good. You're not on Derrick Henry's level. You're not on Saquon's level.
Dude.
And maybe if this is a straw man argument, I will back down.
Yeah, I think it's a straw man argument because of this. Because, Todd Huzak's texting me right now.
What's he
saying?
saying?
Todd Huzak used to call all those games.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, we were all in on CMC. And he's right. Pac-12 championships. I watched that game with Scott Reese, Todd Huzak, and Savino in the Stanford radio booth. And McCaffrey, what he did in that game, the game's getting hairy, right? USC's charging back. The band's going crazy. He runs the Texas route and changes the game. I said, this guy runs great routes.
Yes.
He's everything like what Reggie Bush was in college, and he had the flair. Christian McCaffrey just didn't do all the extra stuff. He was Reggie Bush in college, and he should have won the Heisman.
He runs between the tackles better than Reggie ever did.
No doubt.
I mean, his vision is unbelievable, and I think his toughness is so underrated.
Yeah.
I just look, maybe this is a straw man argument. We have these conversations about white guys in the NBA. We do, right? Austin Reeves, Adam Morrison. Go down through the list. What's the guy? Gordon Hayward. Excuse me. There are lots of guys. I look at the DB position. If you're a white guy playing DB, we look at you a certain way.
Well, there's no white guys playing.
Well, Jason Sehorn's the last guy I can even think of.
The Kelseys are actually making jokes about that in their latest podcast. They're like, a white guy playing cornerback.
To say it out loud.
Right. About what?
Just this is kind of incredible that a white guy running back is dominating the league.
Yeah, I guess.
I know it shouldn't matter about race. I understand.
No,
I'm not saying it shouldn't. But I do think that a certain segment of the population underrated him because they're like, he's a white guy.
Yeah. But, when you play football.
I know. You're either good or you're not.
Yeah, and
you either got it or you don't.
So for the San Francisco Seahawks, for example, we played all these Marin teams. Sebastopol, Rancho Cotati, which is in Rohnert Park, San Marin, Novato, Southern Marin, which played at Tamalpais High School. They had none but white players. And they had white, and we would sit there and we tried to tackle some of these white running backs. We'd be like, white boy got speed, man. He's good. And it was just like, man, he's legit. And you want to see where they pan out. Like Napa had this guy, the Napa Oilers who played him. This guy wore number 21, just like Deion. And he was the truth. And he dominated the game, full of everybody. And it was just like, so when you grow up in the game and you play with white guys and so I hear you, though.
I think Gerhart, and fair or not, And I think Gerhardt was misused, and I think
too.
being behind Adrian Peterson did him no justice. But I think unfairly he was categorized like Toby Gerhardt.
Right.
It was like,
you think so?
I do. I think that some of the Toby Gerhardt thing, in the same way we look at certain colleges with quarterbacks, when was the last time an Ohio State quarterback was good? We do this. It's weird. I don't know why.
We do that with USC quarterbacks. That's why Caleb was going to be a good litmus test. But when it came to McCaffrey and he got drafted by Carolina, we're like, boy, Christian McCaffrey, Cam Newton in the same backfield, that is deadly. And his game translated in the NFL right away. So I never thought, me personally, right, for example, and I don't remember seeing this online at all or talking to people.
Well, we're just talking. I'm trying to have a legitimate conversation. No. I'm not trying to say racism. I'm not saying any of those things.
But when we look at Toby Gerhardt, he was such a different player than Toby Gerhardt. He was such a different player. We looked at Christian McCaffrey, was like, this guy's going to be a human joystick. You could line him up in the slot. You could line him up in the backfield. Now, is it uncommon to see white running backs? Absolutely. At one point, it was uncommon to see black quarterbacks.
Yes.
Now half the league has black starting quarterbacks, right?
How many were there this week?
14 starting quarterbacks that were African-American. We've come a long way in the NFL.
Come a long way.
Look me up when we see a white corner. That's what I'm waiting for. Because we don't see white quarterbacks.
But there is a stigma with it. You would agree.
There is.
There's a stigma with it.
So Riley Moss out of Iowa was drafted in the second round by the Denver Broncos and is a nickel corner for the Broncos. White cornerback.
It's rare. Again, Adam Archuleta and Jason Sehorn are the last two guys I can think of that played DB that were white guys. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, is there a stigma? I'm asking out loud.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a stigma.
I
never even thought about it.
I think this guy is an all-time player.
No, I never even thought about it. But listen. So we had one white corner drafted, and that's it. Jason Sehorn's the last guy. That really was like, maybe there are other white corners or white safeties.
Archuleta was a safety, though.
He was a safety at Arizona State.
Corner. Well, there's the guy also for the Falcons. He came out of Cal, Chris Conte. He was another white corner. Who was, I don't think he was like a Pro Bowler, but solid corner, though.
Solid corner.
Yeah, Chris Conte, that's right. He played for the Dolphins, too.
They get slept on. But boy, Christian McCaffrey, listen, man.
He's so unique.
Listen, the reason why he's undervalued is because he was in Carolina.
Okay.
And they were a lost cause. That franchise was lost, and people forgot about McCaffrey. I remember watching every one of those McCaffrey games like, this guy can go. He can go. In terms of, this guy can play at any level. He's a baller. And you remember all the highlight clips that we saw of him and being Ed McCaffrey. And this is a reason, too, why I think I love this, because Ed McCaffrey was a great Niner and a great Bronco. Good Niner, great Bronco. And it was like, oh, man, that's Ed McCaffrey's son.
I know.
Okay, he's got good genetics. He's got good genes.
Yeah.
And so it is... Yes, it is very uncommon to see a white running back in today's game.
It's extremely uncommon.
But I never watched him saying, oh, he can't get it done because he's white. Because I saw the same moves in college. I saw the same hands in college. I saw the same toughness in college. And Stafford were running. Tyler Gaffney once had a game where he ran 45 times against Oregon, number one team in the nation, on a Thursday night. You know what I'm saying? Nate ran him to the ground.
But I never thought Gaffney was on the level of McCaffrey.
McCaffrey, I thought, this guy's a stud.
Yes, exactly.
He's going to translate to the NFL. And I think his peers respected him like that, too. Cam Newton was handing the ball off to him, throwing the ball to him, knowing like, yeah, this guy's a stud.
Yeah, he's
this guy's going to change our offense, which is why last year we were having a conversation with Mark Willard and Dan Dibley early on, and Elijah Mitchell was dealing with injuries.
I'm going to read you the numbers in a second.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson Jr. was sitting there struggling and plotting
through. And he's a solid player, but he's nowhere near the level of McCaffrey.
And we were 16 days out, and everybody's talking about quarterback. Could there be a way maybe Carolina trades Darnold to the Niners? I'm like, what about Christian McCaffrey? Let's go get that guy, because he could take the top off the defense. I don't care how many games he played in the previous 2 years. If he goes to a good situation, guess what? No soft tissue injuries are going to go away. And the fact that we were told by Tim Ryan, the color broadcaster for the 49ers radio network, he wasn't supposed to play in the NFC Championship game. He wasn't supposed to. They didn't even know he was going to play.
And his run in that game where he broke a zillion tackles is one of my favorite runs in Niner history.
So my thing is, white, black, I don't care what color you are. If you're him, you're him.
Well, he is him.
Christian McCaffrey has always been him. Well, so I don't know online. I don't know if I've ever seen people question Christian McCaffrey because of his race.
This is an uncomfortable conversation. I was just bringing it up because I'm speculating as to why was this guy so devalued? Like, I remember...
Well, he was a top 10 pick.
I know, but the year he had at Stanford, he should have been a top 2 pick. Look, anybody who watched Stanford that year, Solomon Thomas, he was a good player. McCaffrey was that team. and he went 5 picks later.
Right.
Now I know there's positional value. We don't value running backs that way. Like I understand all of that.
Right.
Since coming to the Niners, he's been here for 14 starts, 278 touches, 1,447 total yards, 14 touchdowns. That's 1 touchdown per game, 0 fumbles lost. They're 13-1. He's been a big part of it.
Yeah. So he has been a big part of it. He's changed the offense. And that's why I scoff at people when they say running backs don't matter. You can get them at a drop of a... No, you can't. No, you can't. You need home run hitters. Go take Saquon Barkley off the New York Giants and see how well their offense functions. Hell, they could barely function with them in the lineup.
I mean, seriously.
Take them out of the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know there's a lot of white safeties. Eric Weddle. I see a lot of Eric Weddle, Pat Tillman. Obviously,
Eric
John
Weddle,
Lynch,
who came
who's in the
back
Hall
and
of Fame.
beat the Niners.
Yeah, obviously, John Lynch, who's in the Hall of Fame. Harrison Smith, who's been a really good safety for a long time. We're talking about strictly corners. Strictly corners. And the Kelseys were talking, we could pull the clip. Kelseys were talking about this. They were joking about it. It's like, yeah, cornerback ain't the business for white people.
Well, but it's a taboo topic, and to me, I don't find it is what it is. Like I look around the league, like I use the Austin Reeves example. I think Austin Reeves is viewed a certain way because he's a white dude, like whatever, and we can make our jokes and goof around about it. I'm just looking at McCaffrey, and I'm just asking the question out loud. Is there a stigma to being a white running back?
I don't think so.
I think he has commanded the respect of everyone he goes up against. And I think the players in the league know how great he is.
Because we've seen a lot of white running backs. We've seen a lot of white running backs in the league. And a lot of white... Look, you talk about Woodhead and Burkhead. Dude, those guys were scat backs.
Yeah.
So obviously they had juice.
Danny Woodhead is...
So obviously they had
solid
moves.
player.
Obviously they weren't just plotting running backs. So you know what I'm saying? So white guys can't play running back. That's why I think the stigma on or whatever it is.
Were you a Gerhardt fan?
I don't even think
Were you a Gerhardt fan?
A big Toby Gerhardt fan.
Dude, he was awesome.
He should have won the Heisman.
I totally agree with you.
Should have won the Heisman.
And he played left field for the Stanford Cardinal baseball team.
No doubt.
And I felt like in the NFL, he was a better player than they utilized him as such. I thought
he was in Minnesota, right behind Adrian Peterson.
And I think Jacksonville after, if memory serves. I think Jacksonville after. I just didn't think the timing was great. I didn't think the usage was great. He was a great college football player. Great college football player. McCaffrey was on a whole nother level.
Now, Bleacher Report 7 days ago had an article, Peyton Hillis and the 15 greatest white running backs of the Super Bowl era.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Paul Hornig and Jim Taylor. Daryl Moose Johnson, who was a fullback. John Cappelletti, former Ram Charger, who's a good player. Craig James, of course, Patriots. SMU with Eric Dickerson.
Oh,
yeah. Matt Shuey of the Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl. Matt Nahigan would know all about him, our program director. Tom Matt, old Baltimore Colts. Peyton Hillis was number 9. I think it's high.
And he had 1 year.
Mike Allstott, number 8.
Mike Allstott was badass.
Ed Podolak, Kansas City Chiefs, back in 69, 77. Got a Super Bowl. Tom Rathman, fullback, of course, could catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yes.
Merrill Hodge.
Merrill Hodge
was good for a long
Steelers.
time. Mark Van Egan. All the OG
That's
Raider fans know about him, right?
Is Hugh McElhaney on the list?
Rocky Blyer. Larry Zonka.
Oh, Larry Zonka, Dolphins. I saw a video of him running in the mud the other day.
John Riggins.
John Riggins was badass.
So we have seen a lot of right running backs, which is, I think, why nobody's even... I've never heard anybody say Christian McCaffrey, oh, man, well, he is a right running back. I don't know about him. I swear to God,
okay.
I've never heard that in my life.
Look,
I did the drive show that year with Papa and Fortenbaugh, and when Andy Reid traded up, Papa was freaking out in the bathroom. Oh, my God, they're going to take Christian McCaffrey. And I was like, damn, Christian McCaffrey with Andy Reid? I thought Westbrook immediately.
Well, he made Jerick McKinnon a really solid player for them. He's a weapon for them.
He did. By the way,
people are saying Paul Hofer's another one.
Yeah,
we've slept on.
I think that's why.
I'm telling you, number 39. Go back and look. Hugh McElhaney.
Yeah.
Watch some of those old highlights. It feels goofy because it's in black and white, but he was badass.
So I think the stigma, if it was maybe cornerback, okay, maybe we're talking about something.
Okay.
But I don't think there's ever been a stick. I never heard anybody have a stick, like say, oh, man, I don't know, Christian McCaffrey, man, he ain't a brother. And I don't know if those moves are going to work in the NFL. No, it was like, he's dominating dudes in college.
Yeah.
Full of African Americans.
Yeah.
Right? Christian McCaffrey can play with anybody. I don't care if he's white, black, Filipino, Asian. It does not matter. So I don't know. I've never heard the stigma, but it's an interesting conversation.